In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to build a professional resume using Microsoft Word. The key to creating a very nice looking resume is only use tabs, don't use tables. So if you can insert a table into your document, you can see how it's going to give you lines, it's going to build structure, but what you'll find is that it's very hard to manage and organize your document as your resume grows over a period of time. So what we want to do is just get rid of any of these tables that you may have. So the first thing we want to do is you want to put in your name. We also want to put in your address. So let's put in 223 West Main Street, Salem, West Virginia, 46264. I'm going to use the school's address here. Also, I'm going to put in, say, your name at, say, yahoo.com. And I'm going to put in your phone number, 304-326-1264. So immediately you can see that we're automatically getting double spaces here. And the reason that is because the formatting is automatically set in Office 2010 to double space, or what we might call space and a half. So what I do to make things a little simpler is to take us back to 2003. So if you click on the change styles, we're going to set our style, and let me move this over a little bit so you can see what we're doing. I'm going to do a change styles, set style, and come down and choose 2003. Now you can see automatically the effect, and actually it's sliding off the screen. So let me go ahead and click on Word 2003, and I'll slide Word back over, and you'll see here it automatically takes out that information. All right, so this is a pretty good start. What we want to do now is I'm going to take and highlight all of this, and I'm going to center justify it. And traditionally on resumes, you do not have the 1 inch all the way around. So we're going to address that here by coming over to our left margin, what we call here our top margin. We're going to click here and slide this up until it's about there. And it doesn't matter how far it is, just as long as it's most of the way at the top. And I'm decreasing that to about a ½ inch margin instead of a 1 inch. Make this a little nicer, we can put bold and make it a little bigger. Now, as far as the font goes, that's the immediate thing that I see now. Let's go ahead and click and drag, and let's highlight your whole address, and I'm going to click on the font. All right, notice I just clicked in that box. Now what I'm going to do is with my hand, I'm going to go over to the arrows on the keyboard, and I'm going to hit the down arrow. Now what I can do is go through this, and I can find a font that would match or look good for my resume. Some fonts that look really good would be like Bookman Old Style. So let's go down to the Bookman Old Style, and actually let's just choose Bakersfield Old Face. That's actually a nice font to have, so we're going to choose that. All right, what I'm going to do is just hit enter and enter. Now when we build a resume, there's different sections that you're going to need to have, and I always like to put in an objective. Notice I'm putting it in all caps. I'm going to hit enter 2 or 3 times, and the next thing after the objective might be your education. After that, we might put your employment. Okay. After that, we might have something such as community service. Any place that you volunteered or any work with, you can add that to your resume. All right, and then the last thing we're going to put is references. And of course, we can always add up here as many things as you want. So it just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. For example, I might here in employment, let's go ahead above employment. Let's add skills and or skill sets. Okay, so this is a good start to your resume. Now what we can do is dress up each section by clicking on objective, and up here we have the bottom border tool, so I'm going to go ahead and click there. I'm going to click on each of my headers and click on bottom border. Okay. Oops, let's do a Control C. Now, because I have this highlighted and I did a bottom border, kind of put a square around the whole thing, but click anywhere, and to do an undo, Control Z will help you undo that. So the next thing I'm going to do is do the bottom. Here, we'll do the bottom. Here, we'll do the bottom, and all the way down the document. Now I'm going to go back up to the top, and up here where it says bottom border, I'm going to choose the top border. Again, here, we'll do the top border. All right, so what we can do is put some equal spacing between these, and you can see now I am ready to start adding content. The other thing that I can do is address my left and right margins, so I'm going to take it over by 1/2 inch, and my left margin, you can see I'm going to put my mouse right up here, take it a left and right arrow, and take it back to 1/2 inch. So now I pretty much have a 1/2 inch all the way around, and I can also set my bottom border to 1/2 inch. Okay, after we get the layout of our design set up here, we can go back to the top and do a brief overview and see where we are. So let's talk about the objective of your resume. The objective here, sometimes individuals will put a generic statement, like I'd like to seek employment, obtain employment from a company that I can utilize my skills and that will allow me to advance and so forth. But a lot of times the objective here is a job description. So if you're looking through a newspaper, or if you're on monster.com, or if you're on careerbuilder.com, there's going to be a job description and a code that goes with that. So we might put in here job position, and there might be a code generated for that, and likewise there might be a description. Okay, so anyway, that'll be that, and I'm going to left justify this. Okay, now when we start working with the other building blocks here, or other sections, we want to work with what I call building blocks. And building blocks are laid out in a certain fashion. So let me give you a basic design that I want you to use for this class on how to build a building block here. So what I'm going to do is when it comes to education, the first thing you want to do is put down the university that you attended. And this is going to be where you are either currently enrolled or the very last education institution that you attended. So the latest will be at the top, the oldest will be at the bottom. So let's put in here Salem International University. All right, and we also want to put where is Salem located. Obviously, it's going to be in Salem, West Virginia. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab over, and I'm just pressing the tab key on the keyboard until I get to about 6.5 inches away. So here we're going to put down, for example, 2012 to present. And we'll end that with a parenthesis. All right, I'm going to hit enter. And the next line down, you want to put your major. So and we also want to put down our GPA, which is a good thing. And I'm going to put here like 3.4/4.0. The reason that you want to put 4.0 is that not all universities operate on a 4.0 scale. So it's good to actually put that down there. Now, this is the university that I attended last, or that you attended last. And from here, we want to put in some things that you've done at the university. So here you might have been involved in the information technology student organization. You might have been on the dean's list, and you might have also played men's basketball. Now you'll notice that I'm just typing a list here. I am not indenting and putting bullets. I will put bullets here, but all you want to do, when you start to use this bulleted list tool up here, you want to make sure you just type in your information. And when you click on the bulleted list, it's going to do two things for you. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight what I want to be bulleted, and I'm going to click on the bullet. What it does is it's going to indent your information, and it's going to add the bullet. All right? So something that I like to do is with here, you can see how the bullets are a little farther away than I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight this, and if you come back up to the top of the screen, you can take the list and move it a little bit closer to your bullet. So I'm going to come back out a little bit, and that looks a little bit better. All right, so that'll complete the building of this building block. And the only thing we can do at this time is dress it up a little bit. So I like to take the university section here and bold it. That makes it stand out a little bit. And what we're trying to do is we're creating pointers so that the person who's reviewing your resume will go directly to the information that you want them to see. Okay? So for example, I might put in here bold that so that when this reaches human resources in any company, they'll say, okay, this is the job that they're applying for, and then they'll route this resume to the proper channels for the interview process. So I'm going to hit delete here, and notice I've got some space here and some space here. That looks really good. You don't want to end up with something like this or something like that. It's too much dead space above and below. All right, now I'm going to come here to the end of men's basketball team, and let's just talk about one other thing. I'm just assuming that the Salem International University is the only university that you've attended. If you've attended other universities or trade schools, community colleges, anything like that, you want to make sure that you list those here, especially if they pertain to the actual job that you're looking to get hired for. So let's talk about one other thing here. I'm hitting enter and enter. And I'm just going to put down here Little Miami High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm going to put here okay, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight the high school. Okay, now the reason for putting your high school here is for a couple of reasons, and there is a dilemma here. And the dilemma is, do you actually put your high school listed there? If you were involved in any events or organizations or received any special awards, then you want to put your high school here. If you had a good GPA and you weren't really involved in any athletics or student organizations or whatever, you do not have to put your high school here. The general assumption is that if you're at the university level, if you're enrolled in school, the general rule is that we assume that you've got a high school degree. So this here is just really depending on if you want to do this or not. So it doesn't hurt if you're, this is the first time you've created a resume. and you don't have a lot of information to put on a resume, then you can put your high school here. So again, this is an option and it's not a requirement. I wouldn't take off points if you didn't list your high school here. So let's just put on here, say men's, or let's do boys. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bullet that. I'm going to click here again and bring it over just a little bit so that it lines up with this here. So you can see that this building block and this building block are bolded lists are lining up, and you want to make sure that these are aligning. So if you click here and you click on that arrow, it'll put a line down the screen. From here, I can see that all my bullets are on the same tab stop. All right. So anyway, this is pretty good for our education, and what we're going to do is just continue to work down our resume, and it should take on the form of the other building blocks. So as I work on employment here, for example, I'm going to put down Texas Roadhouse. And this might be in Bridgeport, West Virginia. And you may have worked there from 2009 to 2010. And you might want to put here your job description. And so, you know, some of the duties that you had or performed while working there would be nice. So, prepared food work, better yet. Let's talk about this. And let's say we're going to put food preparation. And we'll bullet that. Again, I'm going to bring that over. And if I've got 3 or 4 bullets here, you can just do all 3 at one time. You don't have to do these one at a time. And of course, that's probably not a really good line item for this, but anyway, you can get an idea of what we're doing here. You want to put down where you work, where that company was located, where you worked. And again, if I click here on this tab stop, you'll notice that all of my dates from education all the way down through employment are on the same tab stop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hit Control Z, and that'll undo that creation of tab. All right, community service here is going to be the same way. We could put down United Way, and of course we'll tab over. You can put down when you were involved. All right, and here we could say we want to give an idea of what we were doing here. So United Way of Marion County, and you could put down 5K race event volunteer. Okay, I'm going to hit enter there, and you'll notice that when it comes to misspelled words and things like that, you don't have to hit backspace a lot. All you have to do is just right click and address that. If you turn in any assignment to me and there are misspelled words or you might have grammar issues, once I get to 3, I will stop grading it and send it back to you. Okay, so anyway, that's really good there for community service. Now let's talk about some skill sets here. And again, skill sets should be located under education because it's a part of your knowledge, what we call KSAs, skills, knowledge, and abilities. So anyway, let's take a look here. What we put in, and we might put down some skill sets. You might be a team leader. You may want to put down organizer. And these, you'll notice here that I'm putting down who you are or what you are. And this is a good way to look at skill sets. So we're going to put down team leader, organizer, communicator, manager, and we can also list things such as Microsoft Office. And here, if you're only fluent in Microsoft Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, if you're only fluent in one of the applications, then you can list just that application. Okay, that'll be good enough for now. So what I've done here is I've just created a general list. Notice it is centered. What I'm going to do is just highlight this information, and I'm going to go up to page layout. Under page layout, we're going to click on columns, and we're going to give it 3 columns. And that will split up your information here. And you'll notice that the reason that I did this last, or one of the last things that I'm doing, is because I want the information to fit in between these 2 headers. So that's why we created the headers first. If I try to come in and add information to my section, then you'll notice you'll have problems working with your lines. So always do your headers, your sections, and the line work first. Create spaces in between, enough for your information. And then again, columns is probably the only area that you'll have trouble working with. So, but anyway, there's a few skill sets there. Notice how nice and evenly, if I click up here, you can see there's 3 sections that the computer automatically generated for you, and it makes it nice. So just again, all you have to do is type in your list, highlight that list, go to page layout, orientation, columns, and choose 2 or 3 columns. All right, now what I'm going to do is right here above references, I'm going to insert a page break, and that is because references should be on a page by themselves, by itself. You do not want to send your references over when you're seeking employment. Here we might add to this. Let me go back. And we can say references upon request. Okay, what I'll do is I'll drag that to the bottom of the screen. I'm going to click on Home, and I'm going to center this up. All right, so now I can come back to here. And working with references is a little different than what I'm going to do here is you'll notice that I have no space down below references to actually work. And if I try to hit enter, it's going to push that line down. So what I'm going to do is remove that bottom line. So I'm going to go up to my border and click on bottom border. I'm going to hit enter, enter, and enter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a table. This is the only time that I actually use a table inside of my I'll tell you what, let's go back. And now what I'm going to do is insert a table here. And the nice thing about this table is you can always move it. All right, so once I get my table in place, it's below my references tab, and I've got my table. Now I'm ready to start working on information. So let's put in here all right, so we're going to put in an address here. We're also going to put a phone number. and we'll also put an email address. Okay, so I'm going to highlight my whole table. I'm going to go home, and we will left justify this information. You'll notice that when it comes to the references page, you're going to have a lot of references out here. So what I'm going to do is work with my line work here and my cell edges. And I'm going to pull this in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in till it's about at the 1 inch margin section. We'll do the same thing for the right. So you can see here I've got an edge and an edge, and what we're trying to do is simply make my references look like they're uniformly on the page. So something else that I will do is to dress this up. I'm going to bold my professor's name, and then what you want to do is you want to bold at least the phone number. So again, when your potential employer is going to pull up your references page, they'll see who they're talking to and the phone number. And we're directing their eyes to these two pieces of information on the page. All right. Now what we've done here is the reason that I did 3 columns wide, and this is a column here and here, and this here, this is what we call a row, and I've got 3 rows, 3 columns and 3 rows. And really all I'm going to do is just copy this instead of creating additional references. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste. What I'm going to do is Control Z. And Control Z will do an undo, and I'm going to do a Control V. Okay, here I'll do a Control V, Control V. Now if I hit the Tab key, it'll generate another space. And that again, this is a spacer, and I can do a Control V and another Control V. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you how to work with tables in Word. And tables can be very powerful in creating forms and things like that. If you just see the few little things I'm doing here, you can see how powerful it is as far as organizing your data and getting things to line up in ways that you want them to, where traditionally maybe tabs may not work the best. And also when you generate lists, the space bar doesn't work. You have to use either tables or you have to use tab stops. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just to show you how to work with tables a little bit, I'm going to highlight these 3 cells, and I'm going to right click inside and do a merge cells. Now what this is doing is it's telling me not to use that area. See, I don't have 3 different sections now to type in. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do a merge cells. Okay. Now, in order for me to fully complete my reference page, I'm going to click on this little square box. And that's the same thing as doing a select all. So I'm going to click on that right there, and I'm going to go up to here now. And instead of choosing one or the other, I'm going to choose no border. And what that'll do is that'll turn them all off. You do have a dashed line here, which is a representation of a table. But if you were to do a print preview, you can see that the line work is gone. Okay? So I'm going to go home. So this is making for a really good resume. So I'm going to come in here on references. I'm going to bold this. I will bold that. And employment, skill sets. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go back out to print. And you can see here, this has got the makings of a really nice looking resume. And this concludes the tutorial on how to create a resume. So if you do everything that has been shown to you in this video, you should get a very good grade. Thank you very much.